Hello and welcome to a little video that will walk us how to create a virtual waiting room using XcooBee and XcooBee technologies, as well as a few other things that you can quickly create or already have access to. What we will need in particular are a Google account and a XcooBee account. And the components that we will need to walk through are a XcooBee project, the physical signage that we will need for our virtual waiting room that we can place outside of our building or on doors, as well as we will go a little deeper into the Google Sheet management and understanding how data flows in and out and how you can make that available on your website. The website is an optional element that you don't need, but if you have, we will also show you in a separate video how to publish things on the website. Okay, let's get started. We are here with Rosa's Bakery. That's our test account that we will use, our demo account. And she is a very fresh user. We will just walk through as she would the very first time when she enters the dashboard. You will see this kind of layout. We will click on the project center and look at what you will see there. The first time you enter the project center, you have to configure it. You can do so by clicking the big blue button and let the system do the magic. Once you do, please confirm the dialog boxes that pop up so the transactions won't be stopped. And also download the API keys that are being generated for you. These are encryption keys for you to save, keep, and save. You will need them later if you should need to have access to the transaction yourself. You should have received 3 files to download and save, keep, and that's all there is to it. Once that is completed, you will see a little plus sign here, which means the system is ready to get you started with project. So let's do that and see what we can do. When I click the plus button, I will see the project wizard where I can see quite a few projects that we can do. We will actually choose the first one, that's the attendance list, which is also something that we can use as virtual attendant or virtual waiting room. So we will pick that one. That seems to be fitting our purpose here. And we will start walking through the wizard. I will give it a name, so we will say Rosa's Bakery waiting room, and I will enter some other text. Okay, that's very quickly filled in here. I'm giving a small description of what the waiting room does, as well as a thank you. Once the users have filled in the information, I can do so in multiple languages. For me, English is okay, and I will continue here. The question of data, I will do the minimized data set. In the EU, you have the option of pre-filling this as well to qualify what you will do with the data once you have it. In the US, we normally don't need to worry about it as much, but that option is here if you need to use it. And we're just going to continue on. We will see that we have a few options, including uploading a logo for your business. This already has been connected by the initial setup. The only thing that we need to do really is to connect our Google account so that the data can flow on the Google Sheet that we will use to track all the people in the waiting room. Okay, I've also uploaded a small logo for us. The MailChimp is optional, which can actually connect to your marketing or mailing initiatives from the perspective of getting in touch with your customers later. Okay, here we go. Oh, I forgot to do my Google Sheet. 1 second, let's do that. And make my test account here work. Since this is a test account, I will have to click a few more times, but in the end I should get connected to Google, as you see right here. Now everything that is required to be connected is connected. I can move on to the options of my virtual waiting room. This is my company exit or where my main URL would be. In my case, I'm going to just say Yahoo, and I can pretty much leave everything as is on the top, and I'm just need to connect to a Google Sheet from my Google Drive. So I'm going to just go ahead and switch to my Google Drive here in my waiting room. So I'm going to say new and create an empty Google Sheet. and I'm going to call this very simple Rosa's virtual waiting room, and that's all I need to do. I'm going to switch back to XcooBee's project. You can, of course, pre-create the sheet before you start the project, which will save you the switching back and forth. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick the sheet, and I have to confirm access again here real quickly, and click a few more times because it's a test account, and say allow. So I can pick the sheet that I just created, which would be this one, and I'm going to say select. So that was all there was to do for creating the XcooBee project for a waiting room. The last step is really just a summary. What I really need to do here in the last step is to activate the project. And when I do that, the system will go ahead and do all the activations on all the servers that it needs to do. Once the activation is complete, I am able to use my waiting room in practice, and I will be able to connect to it via URLs. I can create buttons that I can embed on my website. For example, I can just put a text button, say register in waiting room, and that then when users click on it will prompt them for the entry of the information that is needed for the waiting room. I can similarly create QR codes and so forth. I'm going to exit for demonstration purposes to see what my project center looks like. This is the place where we were setting up our projects. You see now we have a project here that's available. I have actually access to all the buttons here. Clicking the little cloud looking icon, we will use that to generate a QR code. And that is really not that difficult. The system will generate it for us. I can download it and use it in any document that I like to really indicate to my customers what needs to be done to register in the virtual room when they approach my door. In my case, I have a little document that I've prepared, and I'm just going to paste my little QR code in there. This is what I would print out on a piece of letter paper or something similar, probably a little fancier would be nicer, on a sign, and make available as people approach my bakery. They can see that they can sign up to a virtual waiting room rather than coming into my bakery and crowding the space and being unsafe. They can wait in their car, and we will text them to come pick up in an orderly fashion the order that we have prepared for them. We will actually walk through that next. Here's the user perspective as they approached my door. They scanned or my little QR code. They are able to fill in the information to be part of the virtual waiting room, basically register themselves as an attendee or a person that is waiting outside. I'm going to be John Smith here. Similarly, I can place a link on my website if people are more comfortable going there and clicking on that and filling out the information. Company is optional, and I'm going to say my email is johnsmith@yahoo.com, and also phone number is also optional in this case. That's all I need to do, and I need to say submit, and I register myself as the virtual waiting room. Very simple to do from the end user perspective. Here's my thank you, and there's nothing else for them to do except for wait. And we will show you later on how to actually have them check their status in the queue. I'm quickly switching back to my Google Sheet where all that information will be in the end stored. As you see here is my sheet. It's been automatically created, and it will be updated with all the people that are registering in the virtual waiting room for me. So every time somebody registers using the XcooBee system, this list will be appended to. Of course, when somebody calls in, I'm going to say here call, Jane called in, and her name is as well as Smith, and her email will be Jane Smith, of course, yahoo.com. When did this happen? This is also interesting. Shortcut Control Alt Shift semicolon will actually enter the current date for you automatically. And so there we go. There's a little shortcut for you to use. And as you see, we can actually add more ways if there was an email way. We will want to add maybe Bob, and he can be Peters, and he will be Bob 22, let's say, to add yahoo.com. Similarly, this is the time that we logged them in. So we know that we have 3 people on our waiting room now. And as people are being served, we will call them via the phone number, which in my case, of course, I should have filled in as well. Um, Let me do so real quick. So as Rosa is fulfilling the orders, you can just come in and say, this is Jane Smith. I just need to give her a text and she can come in and pick up her order. And when she is done, she can just clear or delete the row, and that person will be out of the waiting room and she can go on to the next person and so forth. We can, of course, publish some of that on the website as well. I would recommend, for example, that if you needed to publish something, we can create a queue here as a separate column. The XcooBee system will correctly recognize this column as something add-on, and we will just add on to the next row and so forth. It will not have a problem as added columns to the end of your spreadsheet, so you can customize it any way you like, including notes that you need to keep on each of the orders for each of the situations. There's a separate video that will teach you on how to make this publishable on your website. For now, let's go quickly to the presentation one more time. And here again, the signage, but if you were a different business, let's say a doctor's office, a similar thing, of course, can exist. You can be as fancy as you need to be on your signage, but the information is very easily for your customers or patients to see and act on, and they can register themselves in virtual waiting rooms. There will be no more congestion. It's easy to set up, as you've seen. I've set up the XcooBee project from scratch as you would be as a new user. That much work is normally not required if you already have existing projects. There's no app needed for your patients or customers. It's easy to manage. You use tools that you're already familiar with, whether it's Google Sheets or your website. We always have special deals and subscription available. Please check out Twitter and Facebook. The subscription level that I was showing you was the business subscription, which is priced at $69 on a monthly basis, or $49 a month on an annual basis. Thanks for watching, and please watch this next video in the series for you to see how to move the information to your website so your customers or patients can see their number in the queue.